Okay. All right, we are reconvened from the recess from this morning, so there'll be no need to call the roll again, as I see by glance that every member is here, as well as those who have substituted in. I have before me 23 pages of amendments. They've been distributed, and I don't plan on reading each and every one out loud, but I would like to take 5 minutes of everybody's time, as this has been an exhausted topic, just to put a big picture around it. The casino revenues in 2006 were $5.2 billion, and by 2015, actually they eked up a little bit to $2.6 billion. Property values in Atlantic City in 2010 went from $20.4 billion in 2014 to 11. That's a big difference. The city has owed up to $345 million worth of tax appeals, which turned out to be 15% of their budget. Does Atlantic City have a big budget per capita? It does, but it also has a big responsibility. There's 40,000 workers that go each and every day. That's unique, I'd say, for any other community in New Jersey. There's sometimes 250,000 people on a weekend that are there to visit, to frequent all the good things that AC has to offer. That's certainly unique. It's a 24/7 community. That's a unique component of it. The mayor, in his testimony, I thought, the most profound thing, he said many profound things, but the fact that there were 37,000 EMT calls in a year, unless every citizen of the city was taken to an ambulance in the calendar year, that just gives you an idea of the kind of services and the impact that they're up against. AC has also been a piggy bank for this entire state since 1976. Although revenues, as I noted, are at a historic low, it still provides $220 million each year to programs that are life-saving for a lot of New Jersey's most vulnerable. This year, with the problems that the government was facing, the city was led to believe that there was going to be a pilot bill to deal with that tax appeal problem, and that the pilot bill was going to spin X number of revenue, and as opposed to us who live on a fiscal year here in the state, the city, who lives on a calendar year, crafted a budget based upon that revenue. And then several months already into spending what they thought was getting, the carpet got pulled out. They were advised by the administration, it was done. You're finished. We're taking over. Not another day. Well, we're now at a point with hard work between the leaders in the Assembly, the leaders in the Senate, and the administration to have come up with a compromise bill that deals with some very primary tenets. Number one, and most importantly, is self-governance. The city of Atlantic City, with its mayor guardian and its city council of 9, will have basically through the end of this year to come up with a fiscal stability plan that will be implemented over the next 5 years. Self-governance. Whatever it is that they might decide to do to make that happen, that's going to be the elected representatives' responsibility to see that it does. As it relates to the pilot, if you will, without getting into the detail of it, the bottom line is that there'll be enough by way of revenues in the form of both grants and in the form of a bridge loan to make sure that they can realistically get through the rest of this year, as well as know that there'll be a steady source of revenue as it relates to the plan they're going to craft. As it relates to collective bargaining is preserved. The city, with the tool of an early retirement that's now recrafted, not just to be limited to, to where there be consolidation and others as it was, but legitimately an early retirement program that would apply to every municipal employee over the board, plus with unions that have told us that they will come to the table in good faith. They now will, in a self-governing way through collective bargaining, be able to make that as a part of the solution. And finally, and most importantly, with due respect to the mayor, self-governance, collective bargaining and all, it's time for the taxpayer of this state. Because one thing that will be guaranteed by these bills that will go through is going to be fiscal stability. There'll be no another chances. There'll be no, oh, we'll just give them a little bit more money, a lot more money, whatever it is. It has to occur. And if it doesn't, then the state at any given time during that 5-year period will take over the responsibility for a going forward basis. So with that, in broad strokes, I won't detail each of the bills, but I will call upon the bill's primary sponsor, Speaker Prieto, to make his comments as it relates to the substance. I tell everyone that there's really just 1 or 2 individuals, including Mayor Guardian, who have signed up to testify, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, committee. Thank you so much. We've come a long way from the last time I sat here before you on April 14th, and I said that day that I was not looking to put a bill forward. I was looking for an alternative, something we can build upon. And I think we got into a place, as the chairman eloquently described, all the issues that Atlantic City has had, all the challenges, and we are, as a state, need to be able to give them the tools and resources to be able to help them, become what they can be and what we need them to be. Atlantic City is a jewel for the state of New Jersey, as we get a lot of revenues from the state of New Jersey, and it has given back to the whole state from all the gaming throughout all these years. It's come a long way, as the chairman pointed out, a lot of amendments to hash out. It comes a long way from taking over on day one. It gives the municipality and the governing body a chance for self-governance to make sure the civil liberties of those residents, the people that vote them in, their representatives, to have a voice and be able to do it. It gives them an ability to get through this year that they are in dire straits right now, running out of money, to be able to function with government with that bridge loan that the chairman talked about. It also assures them the money that they're going to be getting through in the pilot bill. There is another thing, make sure in that pilot bill there's no opt-out once if casinos are open in the north, so it would not destabilize those rateable bases again. It also talks about a funding source for aid to the municipality for them to be able to do a balanced budget for calendar year 17, that is a far cry from trying to cut their budget or their per capita in half, which the mayor will probably tell you better than I can, that if you fired every employee, you could not get there. So we want to give them the tools, the resources, make sure that everybody has an ability to be able to do the right thing. For collective bargaining, I've said it should not be the first thing on the chopping block. It should be something that, it's negotiated. And I know that in Atlantic City, they will do the right thing. This bill becomes unique to Atlantic City. That's another thing that was important to me, to make sure that we're taking care of the problem at hand, that it doesn't spill out. As it talks about takeovers, we as a state, I don't think have a great record, and I think that should be the last resort. Give them an opportunity to be able to self-governance and be able to do the right thing. And they'll have to put a 5-year plan together, which they should. They should be able to frame out how are they going to do balanced budgets for the next 5 years. So I think these are all doable things. I think these are things that are important. The early buyouts, I think, was important to give it to everybody, not just a selected few. So I think that will give them a tool to be able to lower their budget. And I think looking at it and how they restructure their debt and everything, we have given them, to the best of the ability, a fighting chance. Atlantic City will have now time to be able to take care of their own house. I wish I could be here today and we could say there was going to be a chicken in every pot for everybody in Atlantic City, but that's not the case. But you know what? I think when there is a crisis, people, come around and they rally, and I think this governing body, will do the right thing. I think the workers there will pitch in, as you've seen so far, that they have done that. And I know it's a resilient city that has a great history, natural resource, and hopefully us giving them the tools and the resources to be able to succeed again, it will be the destination spot for the state of New Jersey. Again, Chairman, thank you so much for posting this bill, and hopefully, I can have, I would ask every member to support this bill. Is a good compromise that we've been able to get to. So.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I mentioned there's just a few people that have signed up to speak today. The 23 pages of amendments aside, I'm going to say that there are not going to be any questions of witnesses. I know that the bill is just off the presses, but let's state what it is. The Speaker, the Majority Leader, and others from the Assembly team, the Senate President, the Majority Leader, and others from that leadership team, along with the Governor's Office, have exhaustively worked on this for the last several weeks and have all mutually agreed that we've gotten to the point that it's something that all those three entities can support. So if someone's against it and wants to speak against it on the floor, they well can.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like I tell you, the Majority Leader's here, and he knows the hard work that's been gone into this to be able to get to somewhere in the middle and be able to get something. And again, like I said, this is not about one house over another. This is about doing the right thing and putting the right reforms in place to be able to give that self-governance of Atlantic City a chance to succeed. And I see from the governing body, from the mayor, council president, and the council, that they actually want to be able to have the faith in their own hands. So we're giving them that ability and giving it to them, not in something that it's destined to fail. They can succeed, and that's the key here, that they actually can do this with hard work. They can make it happen.
Speaker, the last comment I have before I go to the next speaker, assuming that you're done, is that the 23 pages of amendments came with some incredible work by staff. So I know that I've heard you say privately how happy you've been with all of their support.
Yeah. All the staff, and even through this weekend, have gone, Mary Messenger and Kay McDonald has been extremely, extremely helpful in this, reviewing. It's very technical.
Oh, Alice just kicked me.
It's very technical. So all the staff has been greatly, and I pointed two out because I've spent, countless hours on the phone. So I can tell you our staff is incredible, and without them, we wouldn't shine the way we do. So thanks, to all the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Majority Leader Greenwald, I understand that you'd like to be heard as well, or testify? You can wait? Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, and thank you to all the committee.
I'm going to call the speakers first, and then we'll go through in a little more detail each of the bills as we call for a vote for approval. Mayor Guardian?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Assembly, thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you this afternoon. I think all of us, when we want to get somewhere, wants to go from point A to point B. The problem is that the road doesn't always go straight. And although you may want to go straight, you need to stay on the road. And this is certainly a road to recovery for Atlantic City. And it's going to be a tough road for us to meet. But I want to thank you for giving us the tools that we need and to giving us the ability as elected local officials to come up with a plan and to actually implement that plan that brings us back to fiscal stability. I'm not going to take the time and repeat because, Mr. Chairman, you've made the key points of self-governance, of a period of time, of a bridge loan, of redirection of casino funds, of removing the opt-out. Now it's up to myself, our council president, our city council, and certainly the AFL-CIO, the AFSCME, IAFF, and the PBA to meet the conditions that we said that we were capable of meeting. I'm certainly very happy. You can imagine, as a mayor from a shore town, I'm going to have a much more blessed Memorial Day weekend if the members of this committee move it to the full assembly and we have the same situation with the Senate and, of course, the governor's office. I do want to thank you. I realize that you have been able to do very little New Jersey state business because of the amount of time that you've taken for my city. but I do want to thank you ahead of time for saving my city from all our residents and businesses. And I assure you, we're going to come back and you're going to be very proud, and we're going to be a good cash cow once again for the state so that we all benefit. I want to especially thank Speaker Prieto, who has gone out of his way and taken incredible political situation that could have been very, very difficult for him in standing up behind us. But I also want to thank all three branches of government and their leaders to be able to come together and to assure you that the city, myself, is there as a partner at the table, making sure this gets corrected. And on a personal basis, I certainly have to thank my Assemblyman Chris Brown, who has stood with us from the beginning through this difficult time. So I would appreciate all of the members voting for this bill. I want to thank you for the pain that it has taken, but I tell you that the pain will be worth it because we will succeed, we'll be resilient, we'll be healthy again. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I just a comment, not questions, because we're going to stick to that with everyone. But I know I said it at the last two hearings relative to Atlantic City. Assemblyman Mazzio, although not in a very public way, has been working quite effectively behind the scenes to try to do the right thing and was an important part of this compromise, and I feel compelled to note that. I also wanted to thank you. It's hard to be a mayor. I don't care what city you're in. I can't imagine the pressure that you've been under, and you've done it with grace, and now we've handed you a way that you can, through your great abilities, working collectively with the council, make a difference that we're all going to be very proud of.
I look forward to the challenge.
Thank you, Mayor Guardian.
Thank you very much.
Another part of the partnership, Dominic Marino of the Professional Firefighters Association. Dominic?
I appreciate it. No need to testify.
Okay, Dominic, I know you guys are going to get to the table and get this done.
Working on it.
Okay. Yes.
Chairman, thank you. I'm very happy to be here today. A lot of hard work, a lot of tireless efforts to get to where we are. Worked with a lot of friends to really get to a point where, as I said in many of these meetings, once we got through the consternation of this period, the future of Atlantic City is bright. And people are anxious to get in and to help with the redevelopment and transformation of this city. But, you know, whenever there is an effort like this underway, those people that are looking to invest, to help transform, to be a part of the process, what they're looking for is predictability. And that's what really the solution has been about for us from day one. And Mayor, you know, I think 45 days ago when I came down to Atlantic City to meet you for dinner with Vince Mazzio, when, you know, at an early stage when this was going off the rails, you know, everybody was arguing, yourself included, well, I can't live with this bill, this one's better, but this doesn't have what I need. And we sat down and we said, Mayor, forget everything that's on the table right now. If we were coming here today and saying to you, what is the problem facing Atlantic City and what do you need? And you responded, I need time. And I think the solution that has been offered today and the amendments that we have gone through are reflective of the conversation that we had and that we laid out after that dinner meeting, which was to show the voters of Atlantic City the respect that they gave to elect you and your council, to give you a period of time, 5 months, to work out your own problems. In numerous meetings that we had with the union leaders, my conversations with Dominic and with others, I was so proud of the sacrifice that these men and women had already made, but recognized that part of the components that they needed, while their sacrifices were prospective, you needed, as you expressed, money today to help close your immediate budget problems. And that led to, as the Speaker pointed out, an important piece of this, which gives the early retirement package and an opportunity for you to take money today to help utilize to restructure these departments and to save money. And ultimately, what is important to myself, and I know to Vince, was that you not have to make decision over the course of the next 150 days in a sense of financial crisis and distress, which is why for us the bridge loan was so important to help you as you're going through these discussions, not worrying about how do we pay for the gasoline and the gas cars or the bus contract for the kids for school and robbing Peter to pay Paul. But it was important to note that as we went through this process, and what I'm so pleased that the members of the legislature heard was when the tourism industry, the casino industry, the events industry were calling us and saying, people are canceling these events. That was affecting money that ultimately was going to come in and be necessary for the ultimate survivability and the success of this project. So, as I like very much your phrase, you know, sometimes going from A to B, we'd like it to be a straight line. Over the course of the last 45 days, I think we need time occasionally to get confidence in the direction that we're going and the place that we ultimately are going to be. And Mayor, what I hope you take from this process is commitments that have been made to you. Those people that made those commitments have stood by you, not always in easy times. And I hope that when you start this process over the next 150 days, I said to you at dinner that night, I meant it then, and I'm going to say it to you again publicly, you are not in this alone. And I know people are concerned about, well, the role the state could play or this or that. No one could solve this problem. This is not a problem of your making. This is a problem that you've walked into in many respects. We are here to help as much or as little as you want. And you have my commitment of that. I know you have the commitment of legislators from both parties in your district as well as around the state. And we want nothing more than for this to succeed. And for the public to understand, this will not be the equivalent of coming in and flipping a switch and that everything will be better. This is going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice, but Atlantic City will be better for it in the long run, and the state of New Jersey, which, as has been pointed out by our chairman, over $200 million in programs for things like prescription drug medication for our seniors and the disabled, and all the great things that Atlantic City has been a part of, will continue. So I'm very pleased that this allows and receives the support of our friends in Union. It has the support of every level of government, and it is, I believe, will pass with overwhelming bipartisan support. And I'm thankful that we're here today because, as we've said from day one, the bankruptcy of this city would have been far greater than the impact on your administration and 37,000 people that live there. And I want to thank all of my friends that are here today, those that testified, those that will support this, for recognizing the critical importance of this city, its place in history, and its linchpin to the economic success of the southern part of this state and our state as a whole. So, Chairman, thank you for allowing me to be here today.
So it's a pleasure, Majority Leader. Thank you. As it relates to the rest of the members, we will have 4 separate votes, and you'll certainly be welcome to express your views and opinions when, along with your vote. So I didn't want you to think that there wouldn't be that chance. All right, so there's no further testimony, so how do we make 23 pages of amendments get through the committee? We're going to have 4 votes all told. The first 2 votes will relate to the Assembly bill as well as the amended Senate bill, and we'll deal with the pilot. The second 2 votes will have to do with the actual restructuring act, and again will be the Assembly bill and then an amended Senate version. So very briefly with the pilot bill, that is relatively intact, $120 million over the next 10 years. That will increase by 2% each year for the next 10. There are variations, presuming revenue optimistically as high as $3.8 billion from the casinos as it rises to be more of a tax payment, and God forbid it gets lower, as low as maybe $90 million. It builds that flexibility in over the next 10 years. There'll be no different percentage than is already, even though it's a pilot program, the percentage that will go to the county and the percentage that will go to the town will be no less than what's already prescribed by law if it wasn't, if there wasn't a pilot in place. And importantly is the legislative intent, both in the Senate and the Assembly bill, will indicate that the hope is that will go to 13.5% a little bit higher, maybe about a $3 million a year difference toward the county, but that will be the city's choice and subject to negotiation. We're not going to tell them to do that. We're just going to say you have to pay as much as any other town, even if as if it was a non-pilot. Then there might be some negotiation there that will result in that occurring. The biggest distinction in this bill is that there is no opt-out as opposed to the other bill. So we know in their planning for the next 5, next 10 years what that revenue stream will be, subject to some variation based upon the casino gaming revenue that could either go up or down, but that's frankly out of everybody's control directly. All right, so that being the bill, I will entertain a motion to release the Assembly pilot bill. Moved and seconded, roll call.
On the Assembly pilot bill, it's A2570. Assemblyman Peterson?
I'm just going to say, for the record, I'm going to abstain on all 4 bills because haven't had any chance to read it, discuss it, and to make an informed decision about the bills themselves and the changes that have been made and how they impact the overall process. So I'm going to abstain on all 4 bills at this point.
Okay, we'll call you on each one, and I respect your decision in that regard.
Assemblyman Brown?
I'll vote yes.
Assemblyman Zwicker? Assemblywoman Moyo? Assemblyman Lagana?
Yes.
Assemblyman Mazzio?
Yes.
Chairman McKeon?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to move the Senate amended version of the Senate bill for pilot.
On S1715 with committee amendments, Assemblyman Peterson?
Abstain.
Assemblyman Brown?
Yes.
Assemblyman Zwicker?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Moyo?
Yes.
Assemblyman Lagana?
Yes.
Assemblyman Mazzio?
Yes.
Chairman McKeon?
Yes, and I know everybody's voted already, and I know we kind of know this already, but all 4 of these bills, if you will, or both bills are tie-barred to each other. So if the governor, for whatever reason, doesn't sign one, then the other doesn't become effective. So they're different bills, but they're tandem. The next 2 votes that we'll have has to do with the Municipal Stabilization Recovery Act. I won't get crazy with it, and things are going pretty quickly, so I'll take another 2 minutes of everybody's time. This is an Atlantic City-only bill, but not by definition. The definition used is 50% decrease in total assessed non-equalized value combined with an increase of debt to 50%, and it just happens to be that Atlantic City is the only city, thank God, in New Jersey that falls under that description. Once certified by the DCA, which hopefully will happen immediately upon the governor signing this, there'll be 150 days for Atlantic City to come up with their plan for financial stabilization, a 5-year plan that will include a balanced budget in 2017, which will basically take us to the end of this calendar year. The self-governance we spoke of, it will be their choice, but they're going to be given some important manners in which to achieve that. And number 1 starts with notwithstanding that collective bargaining is preserved and the negotiations will occur at the bargaining table. An important distinction is the early retirement option. And again, as opposed to the other bill where it was only early retirement for where there was a consolidation or shared services, in this instance there is no restriction, so it will apply in theory to everyone in Atlantic City based upon the program that you, Mayor, and your council put together. As it relates to we're calling it the bridge loan, really the money's coming from the Atlantic City Alliance funds. At least $30 million that will be coming across that will deal with really 2015 debt to be able to clean that up, and another $30 million that will be for 2016. That's the bridge part that will take you through the end of this year that has to be, paid back, if you will, collateralized by those very same funds, paid back to the state. Thereafter, Mayor, $15 million from that fund in 17. $10 million in 18, and then $5 million in each year thereafter. Again, we didn't design this for you to fail. We designed this for you with some hard decisions to make it work. The other issue is that, the other lifeboat, if you will, is the state aid. Atlantic City had received $26.5 million, I think, in discretionary aid and utility receipts in this last year. The level will continue at least at that amount as it relates to, it could be more than that, but it'll not be less. And again, you'll know what you're faced with. And in effect, that is, you know, again, 23 pages of amendments. We could talk about it for a long time, and it's gone over in meticulous detail by the nonpartisan Office of Legislative Services combined with the staffs of leadership in the Senate and the Governor's Office and, of course, the Assembly coming to a compilation of this proposal. So with that as the general parameters, I would welcome and entertain a motion to release the Assembly version of the, moved by Assemblyman Mazzio. Moved and seconded. Roll call.
On A2569, Assemblyman Peterson?
Abstain.
Assemblyman Brown?
You know, I'd like to take this moment to commend Speaker Prieto, Senator Sweeney, and Governor Christie. Some time ago when we first began this journey, one of the things that we were calling upon is for people to check their egos at the door and to get in a room and to work this out, find that middle ground and that compromise. In doing so, I believe that today is not, once again, about parties. It's not about which house you're in. It's not about claiming victory. It's about the families in Atlantic County, Atlantic City, and throughout the state. It's about doing the right thing to make sure that we don't allow personal differences to stop us from ensuring that good policy gets enacted. So today is truly a victory for the families of Atlantic County, the families of Atlantic City, and the families throughout the state. One of the things that we said from the beginning that was very important was that there is a plan. And a plan, therefore, brings with it transparency. And through the efforts of competing bills and competing ideas, we now have a plan. That plan will be forged and put together through the city's efforts, working with the local finance board, and require the scrutiny that should be given. If we look at the state's history in Atlantic City, if we're honest, it's wrought with failure. The state for years has approved budgets that have grown. We've had a finance board that hasn't been on top of what it should be doing and monitoring what's going on in Atlantic City. And so to have a bill initially that says the state comes in with a designee without a plan, certainly by everybody compromising and working together, we have made it better, but not just for the state, but also the families of Atlantic County. The other thing that is important, that with that, of course, brings a transparency, so that with a director or a commissioner being involved, working directly with the local finance board, we also ensure that whatever decisions are made with the scrutiny that the public deserves, and that we don't wind up at any time taking public assets and putting them in private hands, which is something that we all agree upon, and we all work together to make sure we accomplish that. The other portion of the plan that I would point out, the governor was nice enough, he came down to Atlantic County and he guaranteed that he would honor the bipartisan freeholder board, he guaranteed that he would honor the bipartisan Mayor's Association and ensure that that 13.5% goes to the county. So the way this bill is drafted, with the governor's assurances and with my conversations with the mayor, we now know that Atlantic County residents will not be forced to bail out Atlantic City, but it will be a team effort, that everyone will be working together to make sure that this goes through. So I truly want to commend once again Speaker Prieto, Senator Sweeney, Governor Christie for coming together to forming a plan that is better. Certainly when we work together, we get better results, and this is an example of that. And with Memorial Day coming up, I invite all of you down to the great city of Atlantic City. You can still get your red balls and whatever it is that you like at any of our local eateries or pubs, and there's a good time to be had. So I thank you very much, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for including me, once again allowing me to be a voice for the people in Atlantic County.
The only thing I'm going to correct, John, is that it's White House subs that you owe us and Fireball. Thank you very much.
That's right. Fireball's not right. See, that shows you how often I get to do that. But the White House subs, I apologize. Should have been on that.
Assemblyman Zwicker? Yes. Assemblywoman Moyo?
Yes, and I too would also like to thank the Speaker for his tireless efforts the past few weeks on bringing us this bill with the Senate President, Majority Leader, and everyone else who's been meeting. And I just want to say, and I'm sure I echo everybody up here, to the Mayor and to the people of Atlantic City and the workers of Atlantic City, that this will give you the tools you need to right your ship and get the great city of Atlantic City back on the road to stability and success. So best of luck. I vote yes.
Assemblyman Lagana?
Yes.
Assemblyman Mazzio?
Yes, I'd like to just say a few words. First of all, I want to thank the Speaker and Majority Leader Greenwald and all those involved in getting these bills together, and the word is compromise. And I've always said that good government does, when it compromises, is the good part of government, when we compromise and come to the table and come up with a good, sound bill that will help Atlantic City. I have a business in Atlantic County, and Atlantic County is not out of the recession. It's not out of the unemployment. And yesterday I had one of my employees, actually his family, came to my house, came to my store and got boxes because they were in foreclosure and forced to move out of their house. And so he's been working with me for a couple years, but they couldn't sustain the payments to their houses, and they're forced to move out. So you have to understand, I have real skin in the game in Atlantic County, and I always try to do the right thing. And believe me, when Atlantic City was hit with this economic turmoil, and it's been part of my whole tenure as an assemblyman, being part of this catastrophe in Atlantic City, and that I'm happy to see that these bills are finally coming, hopefully, to the end here, and we can move on where we get this unsettlement government back on track so we can have good investment, people back to work, because it really means a lot for everyone in Atlantic County and people in the state of New Jersey. So again, I'm proud to be here, and thank you for this opportunity to come here and sit on this committee.
Chairman McKeon?
Just in the spirit of transparency, part of the deal was that the governor said we had to say toolbox really a lot for him to change his mind. So that's what's going on. I vote yes. One more bill. We have the Senate version of the Senate amendment bill for the 23 pages of amendments. I'll accept the motion. Moved. Second.
On S-1711 with committee amendments, Assemblyman Peterson?
Abstain.
Assemblyman Brown?
Yes.
Assemblyman Zwicker? Yes. Assemblywoman Moyo? Assemblyman Lagana?
Yes.
Assemblyman Mazzio?
Yes.
Chairman McKeon?
Last word is I am really very proud of the way that everybody worked ultimately together to come up with this great and significant compromise, and God bless Atlantic City. I vote yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.